Thank you for joining us today for the Lunch and Learn. I'm going to go ahead and put the in silent mode. If you have a question, please feel free to push *6 to come off of mute or chat it in the WebEx chat window. That now, and I'll come right back up.
This is now in silent mode.
All right. Okay. Amanda, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, for today's Lunch and Learn. Today we have, well, first of all, Justin. I'm with Coastal Cloud. And we have Amanda joining us to go over and review our creating and refining an initiative execution plan. And so we covered it in our initial training, and we want to reiterate the process of getting that down. Amanda's going to walk us through that, and then also talk a little bit more about refining the plan. We take a big plan and put it into smaller pieces. Recording this, so if you have any questions, you're on mute right now, so just push *6 to come off of mute or chat those in the WebEx window. I will be watching the window for chats. I'm Jackie Love, so if you want to chat me directly or chat everyone in the group, either way is fine. So Amanda, I'll turn it over to you, and you can run through our Lunch and Learn.
Yes, Ben. So today we're going over creating and refining IEP. Our agenda for today is your initial training. You know, we said we're big whiteboard people. So we're going to go over the universe sketch, our lovely stick person and buildings and briefs, and then going to touch upon just an overview again of what an execution plan entails and all that it holds, and then that process. Remember, it's a 6-step process from the name, the plan period, the time period, the to from date, clients, our customers, our initiatives, and then if we're going to add any users, so Acosta internal members to our plan. We'll mention, again, having a naming convention that allows the data to be good, allows it to be reportable, and it's really helpful to you as well. And we'll actually build one together, and then we'll go over what refining an IEP means, build one of those as well. I know we didn't touch upon the refining part much when we did training, so we can into a little bit more depth of that and see how you could use that tool, which is a really cool tool. So let's jump into the universe. If you guys remember this was our universe, the Acosta universe sketch. You had some customers, and remember those are under the accounts tab. Then you had the that supported both. And the refresher here is to remember that the national strategy, there's a little guy here, he's a national strategy owner. So he owns all national strategies, and all the national strategies come from the client. So the client prepares national strategy, and inside that big bucket are all the initiatives. So the client creates national strategy, and then inside initiatives. To localize most of the strategies, they carry to a customer. Remember, it's the client-customer relationship, the CCR, which is also another tab. So Coke, the client, gets married Safeway, that is localizing their strategy. So when they get married, they form that CCR relationship, which is another tab in Salesforce. You have your local strategies. So they pull from national strategies, they localize it through the customer. So then this manager down here, and he has a briefcase. So this is your briefcase you take to and from work every day. So polls, I like to call it the Acosta stocked pond. So manager, you guys are pulling from and strategies that have already been set up for you. So you're not pulling what you're going to work on. It's set up and you're pulling. So whether you want to growth by 8.5%, or you want to sell new items to Safeway, that's Coke's new sparkling, that's amazing. You're pulling from strategies and initiatives that are all set up for you. So that's the cool part. And so your initiative execution plan is your case. So you pull these initiatives, you go with the customer with your briefcase, and back and use the system, Salesforce, to report that. Did it go well? Did they accept it? Did they accept it? Dive into the system to have all that, but I want to review the universe that the national strategy, The client localized the strategy, gets married to the customer, which forms a CR, and all have initiatives. You have local strategies and initiatives, you have national strategy and initiatives, and pull from that Acosta stocked pond to fill your briefcase as the business manager. That's what you take when you meet with the customer. So all IEP is, that initiative execution plan, is pulling what's needed for you and set goals or your book of business. IEP is nice. You can make it an annual plan. You could make it a quarterly plan to set those standards. So Salesforce is providing you a flexible briefcase. So it can take many shapes to fit your goals. Questions kind of about the universe and that outline. I know it's somewhat of a refresh, but I know it's been a while too, and just no questions before we keep going. Okay. So execution plan overview. So we talked about you have these national strategies, these local strategies, the initiatives inside of them have all been created for you. It's your job to create an initiative execution plan. So remember, I'm just going to go into the system because to me it makes a little bit more sense to see it visually. So the system, our initiative execution plan tab, and I'll go over how to navigate again. So don't think that I'm just clicking through all this. We'll go through this, but just the name. Acosta follows a naming convention. So to that document, so it's the month date. So today's would be, if I was crafting one today, it'd be 2017, 0 of 07. So all should start with a date. That's a great way. Remember, we're in Salesforce and you have all your different lists and you can do ascending or descending. It's a great way to track that. And you have your client name. So what client are you working with? What client are you pulling from to meet with the customer? And your customer name. So I was going to work with Coca-Cola. It'd be Coca-Cola, and my customer Safeway, it would be /Safeway. You see down here the different ones if you have multiple clients, multiple customers, a single client and multiple customers. So there's different flexible options for you depending on what type of plan you're needing and your description. And remember, your description is what makes it yours. So say Coca-Cola Safeway annual plan. And then I make one that says Coca-Cola Safeway Q2 selling new items plan. So your way to kind of track what this plan holds and is your description. So everybody else does the date, the client, and the customer, and then your description is where you get to add in or describe your plan. And then plan period. So remember, if we jump back into the universe, we have it. So the way I like to look at the plan period, so we have our to from date, you have the entire year, is that bucket would be if you had this annual plan. So pulling from every single strategy that Coke creates for 2017. And then bucket, which is smaller, so it may only have like 24 initiatives compared to 240 initiatives, would be like Q1 plan. And this would be a Q2 plan. So just when you're doing your to from, that is pulling from those buckets. So it's casting that net, we use a Acosta stock pond, so casting that net. So if you do January 1st to December 31st, you probably earn a lot of initiatives. But only did January 1st to February 1st, you did a couple initiatives because you're probably pulling from a smaller bucket. So when you're creating your plans, whether it's an annual plan, a quarter plan, to be aware of your dates. Because it's happened to me before that I put in the wrong date and I got the initiative part and 0 were returned. And because my date range wasn't casted large enough to return those initiatives. So if I like to use that, if sometimes you come and there's no initiative, check your date. As well, you always have to enter a date. These fields cannot be left blank because casting that net over the bucket of what you're pulling to provide your brief. So if you don't pick any of these, your briefcase can't pull from anywhere. Have our name. Remember, we follow naming convention, and the naming convention document is in your library. So if you're ever like, I don't remember if client or customer comes first, it will be in your Salesforce library. So you always have access to this period. So if it's annual, it'd be January 1st to December 31st. If it was quarterly, it'd be January 1st to April 1st. Set the plan period and then go to your client account. So that's why it was important when we were in, I know I'm jumping back and forth, but when a customer gets married, it's important to know that Coke has a partnership with Safeway. You're going to be pulling to this Safeway about Coke. So it's important to understand your CCR, because if you have a client and a customer that don't have a relationship, also not going to return any initiative. So know your client and customers better than anybody else, but just as a segue into it, make sure they have a CCR, so that client-customer relationship to pull initiatives from. So remember, we walked through this wizard. It's a lookup, so Salesforce will give you your client accounts. You can select which client account. It'll do the same for the customer. So who you and the product to. So that would be your customer. And initiatives. Remember, you could sort by categories, whether it was growth and distribution or all different ways you can find the initiatives you need. And then your users. So users, again, were just the people in your team. You could own the plan on your own. So I want, if I mean a Coke and a Safeway plan, I may want the annual plan to have I want Dustin on my team, I want Melinda on my team, and I want Arlen on my team, because we're working on Coke and Safeway. And then I were to make a quarter one plan, I make myself the owner of that plan and not use anybody for my team, because I'm just going to meet with Safeway to talk about 2 new items for quarter one, and I don't need anybody on my team for that. Just remember, you are welcome to always add your team, and you also can just make the plan on your own. Just kind of on the overview of what a plan is and how it relates to the universe.
No.
Okay. Naming convention, and we talked about the difference. So let's actually get into the system and one together again. Anybody play around and try building one on their own or used it yet? Okay. Speak up, guys, or ask questions or comments. It always makes it a better session because it's for guys. So we're going to start our initiative execution plan. So just a little cursor, you would log on and you would come to your home page. This is your library. So if you couldn't remember how to do your naming convention and you knew you were going to create one, you could go to the library to find that. You have towards all of that. That's just a quick review. Go to my initiative execution plan tab because I want to create a new plan. If I'm disposition, remember when I meet with my customer, I would go here, or if I wanted to see the details with my customer, I would go here. But to the new one, you go to the very start, which is the initiative execution plan tab. So I click tab, you'd highlight it, it's switched from home to here, and home page. Again, ID descriptions, created, which was last week, of what initiative execution plans I wanted to see, maybe by customer or client. So I create a new plan. So next to the recent, and I select new. Is Salesforce with me? So it opens up this wizard that instead of me trying to run a 6-step process and have it on a Post-it note next to my desk so I remember what to do, Safeway required fields I need and walks me through it. So my plan, I remember, was the date. So it's 2017 before 07. So I have a date and work with Coca-Cola. We've talked about them a lot. I'm in a Diet Coke right now, so I'm going to have Coca-Cola as a client. And then let's Safeway, because I know from my client-customer relationships that Coca-Cola and Safeway have a relationship. And I'm going to have Safeway. A description will be annual plan. So I know Safeway can encompass a nationwide net. You could just on the West Coast Safeways, or maybe the and Safeways, or there's different ways you could classify this down. So let's make sure that I followed protocol. I have my date, my client, my customer name, and my description. So yep, I have everything I need, and I create an annual plan, because you'll see later when we go to refine it, I'm going to take the annual plan and I'm going to make a Q2 plan from that plan, because the refine feature is a really cool way to take a large plan and not have complete start over, but then categorize it by a Q2 or Q3 or Q4. Work with Safeways. I'm not sure which ones yet, so I could make this a West Coast Safeway or make it more specific, but I've decided just an annual plan. And since it's annual, my plan period will be January 1st or 31st. The nice part is 13 on dates or times, Safeway or Safeway. Sales drops down the calendar for you. So I did January 1st to this 1st. And remember, the plan period is how your net is cast. So if I Q2, I want to make sure that I did January, or Q2 would be April to July, I think. I'd be absolutely specific. Remember, your to from is the net you're casting over those buckets, initiatives from. So Salesforce does the cool little lookup. So it pulls. Remember here, you can search for our clients directly. So I could search for, I want to type everything. I could search for the first part of Coca-Cola and turn these records 56. And then I select by client. So remember, channel is grocery or convenience. So it's a great way. I know that I want to work with Coca-Cola Grocery because I'm pitching to Safeways, which is a grocery store. So I could buy those features, and then you see I have Coca-Cola, convenience, grocery, and I want grocery. So I started here and just did a search with the first 4 Coca-Cola and received 56 records. And then the filter of client channel and received 2 records. So you just use this one. So if I wanted to, let's clear, I could just search through 56, going from page to page if I wanted to. For using the filter. So I can also undo that. So I'll search here again. Records, and I don't want to have to skip through this. So I'll client channel because I know I need the grocery and the grocery. So I only have 1 client. If you're working with multiple clients, you can them if you wanted to. So remember, clients and customers, you can add as many as you want. I want to work with Coca-Cola grocery, and I searched by channel because I needed the grocery because I'm going to partner with Safeway. Selected, my account selected, and it automatically brings me, now it's time to search for my customers. So magnifying glass, and I pull similar search as well. I could search for my, say here, I filter by level. So if I wanted banner, sub-banner, type, if I knew that they're a retailer or a wholesaler. So I have 252 records. So I'm definitely going to use a search to narrow down on Safeway. So I will hit that actual button, just like on list views, you have to hit go. You're just allowing the system to know what it has to do. I have 29 records, but see, I have a customer sub-banner and banner. So I know I want to only pitch at the banner level. So I'm going to talk to Coca-Cola, but I don't need that sub-banner level. I only want the banner level. So I'll filter through here, apply filters, and see I have 11 records, which to me is a lot easier to work with. I'm narrowing down, use the search bar and the filters. You on your preference, you could always, if you're a next pager, just go through the 10 pages and find what you're looking for. So all of this page comes down to your preference. So I work with a couple Safeways because I know my job is to grow Coke and Safeway as well as sell a new item. So I'm going to work with, I believe we'll do Coast, so Northern Cal, Portland, Seattle, and Southern. I'll work with these Safeways. They're off the banner level, and I'll add selected. Again, I could select all of these if I decided I wanted all Safeways, but I'm going to work with the ones on the West Coast for this plan, so I could add selected. I had that one client account, which was my Coke, and then my 4 customer accounts, which are my 4 Safeways along the West Coast. So now add initiative. Those youth hold 11 records for me. So I use a sort feature if I wanted to. So no search bar here. It's all about filters. You could do select initiatives. You could pick the different initiatives that are available. That's objectives. So if I wanted to sell in a new item or grow, I know those are both of my objectives. To bear, you can select based on bonus. So say for my annual plan, I only wanted to work on ones that had a bonus priority. I could select different ones. So this has a really nice filter feature. So I'll see that only 11 records are returned, but say if 110 were returned, that's clicking through the next pages, I could find ones that were high priority, had a bonus tied. So really great filter that Salesforce builds in for you. All you have to do is select it. The 11 records, I'll just find what I need. So I know I need to grow Coke, so 0.8%. Yep, that looks great. I also have to sell their new refreshing clean water. And then they're having a partnership, so I need to also that one. So I selected 4 initiatives. One was grow, my objective here. All 3 were new items, and Odwalla was different from the 2 sparkling waters. If I wanted to do all grow, I could always use that filter, but I wanted to select a few because it's an annual plan, so I'm casting a bigger net. So did. And then since it's an annual plan, I do want to add a user. Then Salesforce gives us the nice lookup bar. And for a user here, I could use account name. So if I wanted a user via that, or role. So are they management? Are they a BA? Are they client development manager? Are they a national strategy owner? So Salesforce gives you really nice filters as well as the search bar to find users. What I want to work with is Dion, and he's right at the top. So I could select all if I wanted to. I just know I want Dion on my team. So I'm on my team, 9 records total, can add selected. I like doing the view summary. You are welcome not to use it, but I do the summary, and that tells me everything I've selected. I have Google as my client. I have all my Safeways on the West Coast as my customer. I have, and then 3 new items, and then I have the users, which is Dion. I can click that. It just gives you a summary. Net did well because I have a full annual plan to submit. So I want to make this live in the system so that I can then refine it to do a quarter 2, a quarter 3, and a quarter 4. Say I wanted to save all my work, but I wasn't ready to make it live and work upon it. I'd save and exit, and it would save all my work, but it wouldn't make it live. So I'll get live, and I will hit submit. And then again, to 2017, April 7th, Coca-Cola Safeway Annual Plan Record page. You can tell it's active because I submitted it. The state, the end date, status submitted. The owner, me, the record type is master. It's Dion. If I decided that I wanted to, and I didn't want anybody on my team, you would not see anybody here. I haven't any activities. So remember, I create an event to meet Safeway. And since I selected 4 Safeways, I would meet with each Safeway individually. So with Safeway Portland to discuss, and maybe I'd meet with Safeway Seattle to grow, sell a new item. So if you do select multiple customers, multiple clients, you have to create an event for each. Now, if I just had done Coca-Cola, say Portland, I would just spend because I know there's only one client to customer relationship. Here, create a new task. Maybe I have to say, set me on to review strategy behind the annual plan, or make a call Safeway or whatever it may be. So remember, your open activities are all the tasks and events that surround this client customer. And the initiative plan relationship. So these are the 4 initiatives. The A you can see is a national. So all came from the national bucket. It also, you would have a local. We did not pull any from the local. We have our initiative comments. So the goal is to net sales 8% versus prior year. Have all your comments, objectives. They're all high priority. That's medium priority. The prescription, the start and end date. And then which we'll go over, it would be here. Our positions will be here. So when I go meet with Safeway Portland and discuss the drinks, I would then report on them, and you'd see them here. Remember, history is when you take this task or event that you made and it's already happened. So if I'm meeting for 4 people to meet with Dion to discuss this, today it would be on activity history because it's in the past. So those are tasks and events that have already happened, and activities are the ones that have not yet happened. And then, so we see that today it was created by me. So if there's any edits, you would see that tracked here. Any questions from how we navigated to the plan tab, to the way of doing the name, the date, client customer initiative, users, or building upon this? Thing to add or something I should review or go over?
No, that was a good overview for sure.
Okay. So we're on it. So I'm going to touch a little bit on the refine. So I'm going to go back to the slideshow. And we have repeat. So refine an IEP, this great one what I just created. So I created this annual plan and Deep on my team for Coca-Cola and Safeway. So now quarter is passed. I want to create a plan for quarter 2. So I made this plan for quarter 2, but I'm still using Coca-Cola as my client, Safeway as my customer. So instead of recreating this whole plan and doing Walking Wizard, I could refine my annual plan to then a quarter 2 plan, a quarter 3 plan, a sell a new item plan, whatever it may be. So you're taking that big plan that you made and taking it into bite-sized chunks. So you have to remember, though, when refining, you can't change your client or customer. The only thing you adjust is the plan period and initiative. So to create, say I have a Coca-Cola, and then I want to work with Netflix, I refine, I would create a new plan. So refine is only when you want to change the plan period and the initiative, and the client and customer is the same. So if you're client and customer, you would then and create a new plan. That's awesome. This is a way of taking bite-sized chunks from a bigger plan when you're getting to the period, so a quarter 2 or a quarter 3 or the initiative. So yes, so I created my initiative execution plan. Remember, we went through that, we named it, we had the plan period, client, customer, initiative, users. So when I'll go into the system and show you, but when you name it, it'll update, you have to update the name and the plan period. So we'll do quarter 2 one. And the name has to stay the same. So that naming convention we talked about, you still have to date in your client customer, you just change your description. So it would still be 2017, so doing this on Monday, April 10th, and it'd be Coca-Cola, but then I'd say quarter 2 sell items as a description. Just remember to always include the date and then client customer to follow that naming convention. So that way everybody's on the same page. It's really easy to look at data, but use the description and then the plan period. So you plan period, you're taking it into a smaller. So I had annual from January to December, and from that plan, I'm going to do quarter 2, which say is like April to July. And then the initiative. So I think what I'll do is really focus on selling items for two, because I was on trying to start a growth strategy in quarter one. So now I want to focus on selling new items for quarter two, because that sparkling water will be a great summer addition. Timing is not changing the client or customer. It's changing the plan period and the initiative. So let's try out with our example. We'll navigate from the home page. Say if this was on Monday and I decided that I need to take those selling new items. I met with Dion and he's like, we really need to push that for quarter two. So I go to execution plan tab. I go to go because I want to see all. And then here, 2017, I created it. I'm going to add. And it takes a page, and I have my detail, partnerships, open activities, everything. Have your find initiative plan. This is where you would refine this plan. So I refine plan. So I plan. It takes us to this bite-sized wizard. So you create a new one. You have this 6-step wizard that Salesforce gives you. And now, since you're refining it, it gives you a really cool 3-step one. So 2017, 04, let's all pretend it's Monday. I know the weekend's already gone, but let's just pretend for a second. And I have Coca-Cola, and I'm Safeway, but it's the quarter focus on sell in new items. So it's your description, so whatever would make sense for you, that's what you get to enter in, but always make sure you keep your date consistent and that your client and customer are always listed. So for the period, the first time I did that net, because I did from January until December. So now quarter two. So I'll go from April 1st to 31st. I know this may not be an exact quarter two, but just work with me. It's a chunk of time, 4 months. And then shift. So again, my refined plan name, kept the date the same, client, customer. For consistency, my description changed though, because I'm taking an annual plan and I'm making a quarter two plan from that. So I'm casting that net. That's my initiative. So as you can, 7 returned. So remember, an annual plan, I had 11. I created that net and casted it. Only 4 months, I only had 7 returned. So that's showing you that I start putting the plan period, the 2 phase, in a bucket, you're going to have less returned. So 7 initiatives. So if I wanted to use a search or a filter, I could with 7 records. I don't need to. And I know that I want to focus on the 2 sell new items. So I'll use that one. I'm going to do the 2 sparkling waters. Dion and I agreed that would be a great way to start the summer. So I have my 2 sparkling new waters, selling new items, and those are the 2 initiatives that I want to focus on for quarter 2, selling new items to Safeway. Here, you can see I could save. So this would save everything and leave me on this page. I could save and exit. So I find this again, but it's going to make it live. I can save and schedule. Of this part, because I can have short-term memory and I'll save it and I'll be like, oh yeah, I refined it for quarter 2. So what schedule does, and you'll see, I'm going to save it and it's going to open into a new event so I can fill a time that I'm going to meet with Safeway to discuss these 2 sell items. So it works when you find a new plan that you get to then schedule when you're going to meet with Safeway. So it takes out the hassle of trying to save it and then go and schedule, and it makes it one simple step. So I recommend always using this, even if you change your event, it created it, or exit if you decide that you did not want to save it. And even schedules, this is my favorite way to do it. So I have my name, my plan period, 2 initiatives, which are the sell a new items. Cool. It takes me to that event page. So remember, in open activities, we could create a new task or a new event. So let's say meet with, say, Portland to discuss water. to summer item. Like the fields that have the red tab, these are all required. So you have to fill in those. Everything else is optional. And then else, remember, this is all external. And then you have your internal details here. So I could say Portland, Safeway, and then I could type whatever I wanted it to be. That would be sent. We have two great for additions to the COLA line. Again, you would have your description that would make sense for here. You guys are rocked at what you do. So, but to be your description of what the meeting's going to entail, your subject, you're free to put what you would like. It's up to me because I created it, and I could make it for next Tuesday, 2 to 3 p.m. Like, Salesforce will always to 1 hour, so I could change it to 4, but it'll always be a 1 hour time, 2 to 4, because I know that I love John at Portland, and we're probably going to talk a lot. I could refer it to a contact, and then their name. Salesforce does the great lookup, and know that it's Safeway. Let me see if I can search Portland. And then it's Safeway Portland. 202, because remember Safeway Portland was one of my West Coast Safeways, and I'm going to pitch to them the new sparkling water. The primary type is a because it's for quarters, and then I could always do a second one of maybe it's a period or it's a marketing opportunity, whatever that may be. I could invite other people. I'm not going into those details, but that's the next part about the refined is I had this annual plan, and I created 2 plans, and then I could save and schedule an event. So it's already set up that I'm going to meet with Safeway Portland to discuss this because it's a little chunk of that annual plan. So I can save. And then activities, because I created that new event. There's user relationship because I'm owning quarter 2. Dion's on my annual, but there's no user. Let me just close that. To selling the priority, their bingo, and their a sparkling water. So that's the refined plan. And then if I went into the initiative execution plan tab, and I went annual plan, I would see it's right here. It's a quarter 2 item. So then I could create a quarter 3 growth or a quarter 4 selling 4 items that are not in distribution, whatever it may be. But you can always find it here. But it'll also be, you can see a tab as well, the quarter 2 selling new items. Any questions about when you would use refine or from your big for any process? Justin, add?
I think that was a great overview. You know, I think most people are familiar with the initiative execution plan process now, and I think that it was a good view. And then also refining that plan and breaking it down into smaller pieces, you know, to manage a annual plan. I think one thing that I point out is as you work to this plan, it would be great to go to the actual plan record and track activities there, and it'll help you keep track of the activities you're taking towards the plan, not only just the that you're having, but also tasks that you're setting up for yourself that are within the system, and allowing yourself to have a history of what's going on within that plan.
Absolutely. Any questions from just creating a new task or a new event within the plan? Or just being like that we have a little bit extra time, so I don't want to through again a whole other one if there aren't any questions, but feel free to ask questions now. This is learn session. If there is a part or a step that's been confusing to you, or you need or have no problem walking through it again, or how to navigate.
I think we go ahead.
Linda Melton. I was just going to ask, for example, on the initiative plan, let's say I just started a month ago and I kind of missed the gate for the annual with clients and customers. So if I just want to create, let's say, a client and a customer, and then I want to create buckets underneath in my initiative account plan for targets within the quarter, do you think the best way is just going in, like you just said, even though it won't be an annual, but I am going quarter by quarter to somehow create for the overall big picture and then break it down per quarter? How do you recommend best ways of doing that?
Want me to?
Yeah. I think you said, if you're doing it quarter by quarter, you don't have when you're creating the beginning initiative execution plan, you don't have to be an annual plan, right? So those dates, that's just an example that we give, but you can make those dates anything you want. The refining process is really to take a big plan and break it into smaller pieces, but if you're still free to create quarterly or even monthly initiative execution plans, just based on what your desk is and what your workflow is. It's been built in to kind of keep. Also, if you're working on a big plan and you want to break it into chunks, it keeps it all read. So that's the point of the refining of the plan, is to keep all of those that one big plan that's been broken into little plans relate to each other. But if it doesn't make sense in your workflow and you would just want to do a quarterly plan, by all means, I would just start my initiative execution plan with that quarter date. So it doesn't have to be the big spread of a year. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Good. We've demonstrated that a lot, where we'll actually show you an annual plan and then break it down into quarterly plans. But you start with a quarterly plan if that makes more sense for your workflow. So, yes, a question. We have a question, Amanda.
Okay.
Are you going to show something here, or did you want to?
I was going to touch upon that. The dates are, if it would make sense for her, I always think of it like, I think they're like the Russian dolls. You like open one, and then there's like another one inside, then you can open another one. That it makes more sense to do it like that if she wanted to break it down by week, she was going to, but she could always just create a different plan as well. Like, that's the nice part about Salesforce, is connected, and that's why Refine is great, but it's better that it's like a quarter or weekly, and she wants to make them separate for her own different users or whatever it may be. The nice part is that Salesforce is flexible to how you work best. And that was something I didn't understand about Salesforce until I got it and was like, wow, like, with me. So an example, but as long as you can set the plan period and the plan name and follow it, do what works best for you. Next question.
You wrote the disposition.
Say that again, Ray.
Disposition, that annual event that you on Bola?
Yes, actually, other question in the chat as well,
Okay.
to review the initiative disposition process.
Okay, so I'll actually go plan. I could do them from either plan. So actually, what I'll do is I'll do it from a Refine, because the cool part about it is it created that event. Remember, an activity, it said save and schedule. So I'm meeting with Safeway Portland to discuss the park new summer. So my plan, this was just my Q2 plan, and meeting with Safeway. So if I go into there, and I see here, it brings up my calendar event, and I can disposition initiative. So you have all these different buttons. I could edit it, I could delete it, which I don't want to do. I can create a follow-up task, follow-up event, and I want to disposition the initiative. So it's usually on when you first go into the event, right at the top. So you pull down for it, and it's a button. So just like it's a button to create a new one, it's a button to position. So that was Safeway, and now I want to talk about it. I want to disposition the initiative. Button. And then those, their master, and here's the refined. So it's tied to the annual plan. So that goes back to the question of, like, could we do it quarterly and then break it down weekly? Yes, and the part about that is then you see all the details here. I see this is tied to the annual plan, and the Q2 plan is to sell a new item. If the plan was to sell a new items, and I refined it week by week to meet with each of the different Safeways, like Safeway Portland, Safeway Seattle, I would do all of that. So the nice part, instead of creating like 4 different master plans, the refined plans are all tied. They roll up. So that is a nice to highlight that. And items. So it'll tell you item, the initiative, and the objective, and then the status. For each of them, I have to walk through the status. So I did, and remember, depending on the status, a different drop-down will relate. So I'll go over all that. So I have to have the customer code. Sometimes I know that doesn't happen right away. So if you don't have the customer code, just make sure all status would be in progress. For an all-star and they already had the customer code ready, it's always great to fill in as much as you can. But just remember, marked with that little asterisk, that means it's required. And customer code will be linked. So make sure you have that. Shipment date, the realty date, and then your pipeline and comment. Now it was rejected. I have the tiny asterisk here. So I know maybe it's the brand, it was the timing, the pricing, the slotting, whatever it may be, you have to create a reason. The cool is Salesforce works with you through all of this. So based on your status, it draws what you need to fill out. I think that's a really great feature. I love that about Salesforce. So that means, so it's pending. Additional approval is needed, the buyer's undecided, and that follow-up date. So that means, okay, I met with them. You remember I said I was going to meet with them on the 10th, and I'm going to follow up on the 14th, and then comments. And then close, say I'm the biggest talker on the face of the planet, and I just never got even to talk about the new sparkling water. There, the comments, and then I would have a follow-up date. So it was accepted. They thought it was delicious. The customer code is, I know this probably is not what the customer code looks like, but for the sake of having something, the ship date will be next Friday. The retail availability date will be the Friday after that. And I could say they let and want to see more water-based products, or it may be. Those are the comments from the meeting. So I could say for the next one, status, and I will say that it is rejected. So they loved mango, but they didn't really like the mandarin orange. So I could, that was their a similar item. So they just accepted mango, but the mandarin was repetitive and maybe. So you could put anything you want there, but comments are always encouraged because it allows people on your team or your manager to know that meeting went. So going back and you take all your notes from the meeting and you compile it and you email it out, and instead of emailing it out, now in the system it can be reported on, your manager can see it, and it's tracked. So you have to have your status, and it's upon your status a different drop down. So customer code, and I completed the rejected reason. My O status could be completed. Now, remember, I accept both, but I didn't have a customer code for the Mandarin Orange. I would have to put in progress. It means that I still need something to make this completed because customer code is a big part of what you do. So I did it, and I rejected reasons, so I'd hit completed. I could add comments here that Safeway Portland need to follow up, or Dion, if you wanted to, additional comments. I could add a file. So like a product imaging for the new product, maybe you could add a file, and then I would say. So again, disposition is coming from the event. So you all disposition from the event you created. So you have a execution plan. Say we go into create an event that I'm going to meet with Safe. I can create 4 events: Safeway South, Safe Portland, Safeway Seattle, Safeway Cal. And that event happens, I would disposition that event. And this should be my most recent one. Yes. Then I would create disposition initiative from that event. Remember, it's like that little button that looks like one of these. And then I would about it. So this was rejected. I have the shipment date, the retail availability date. So dispositioning is you create that event to re-enter into this event. I could disposition that initiative. So this is you have your event created with your customer to pitch the item or to grow Coke of client. And then from the meeting page, under event, you addition that initiative, and that's what walks you through the status. Was it accepted? Was it rejected? And the required fields for that. That's dispositioning. Questions from that?
A question, disposition name.
Okay, just name.
Yes, it appears that is auto-generated.
Yeah, talking about when I'm here, the record name here. So that is auto-generated. That is not, it's not a naming convention that Acosta created. So that is, yeah, that is for you. That's the record number, how it's in Salesforce.
And that's what it just seems difficult to understand or research based on that.
So the easiest way, so if I have my initiative execution plan, and it was the quarter 2 selling new items, disposition would then live here. So that's the best way is that you know that Coca-Cola is your client and Safeway is your customer. To go to page, and then a related list, you have your disposition.
Okay.
That way, Portland. So I know that's just the record name in Salesforce, but that's what list is really cool because it lives in this plan. So if I met with every single Safeway, all the decisions would live on this plan. So it'd be your best way to search for it is to search what your client and customer were and find that plan record and then look under your disposition.
Okay. P to access.
Yes.
Thank you. No, I guess there is no way to change that name convention, to create your own naming convention.
We talked a little bit about it. It was, I believe, last week for the Lunch and Learn. That's where a list view, if you were going to filter through, say you find all of your ones that needed the customer code, you could view that way. So this part wouldn't matter, but you could filter through created by date or needs customer code. So if you're searching for that, you'd want to create a new view. But to find it easiest, I know it's with Coca-Cola Safeway, and it was when I was discussing quarter 2, and then here's the meeting.
No, the create view was real helpful too. Last week I created a couple of those, so thank you.
Oh, yay! That's exciting. No, it's fun once it's a goal. I sometimes forget. I'm like, oh, I could create a new view for this. So that's awesome, and we're going already creating one. questions, or did I miss anything, Dustin, that you think I should touch upon again?
There's another question that says, can you create multiple dispositions within the IEP? Maybe you can offer insight too, but I think if you're on specific initiatives, then you would say just disposition one. If you need to break it up into multiples, you could set up a different event. It probably caused you confusion on the back end, Vanessa, if you were distributing more than once on IEP. It may make more sense that would be where maybe you would want to refine that plan, and the specific initiatives that you wanted to have separate to disposition separately, put those in their own plan. Just because the way that you're going to report, dispositions are going to report, you don't want duplicates in there, basically. So if you were dispositioning 5 initiatives and 3 of them you wanted on a multiple disposition for, I'd probably just pull those out and refine plan and include those 3 that want to specifically disposition. Do you have any other idea with that? I mean, that's a good question, as I've gotten that question before. Do you have a different idea?
Great question. I think it just comes down to refining it, because the time, like the event I created was for quarter 2. So I had this huge annual plan, and I had a grow, so it's a grow Coke. I had an item that was not in distribution to sell in, and I had 2 items that were to sell in. So if I want to disposition all of them at once, it would be to make that event, and I'm going to meet with each Safeway and disposition those 4. But I decided that, quarter 1, I created one that it was all about growth. And then 2, it was going to be about selling in new items that are already in distribution. And quarter 3, I can make it for the Unwalla that's not in distribution yet. So I think the best way to do that would be to refine your plan if you're going to separate this into different ways to position them. Because all disposition is I'm meeting with to talk about those initiatives that are in my briefcase. I would fill my briefcase differently for new items than I were for the grow. So just look refined. It's like you're changing up your briefcase to take Safeway, and then you disposition based on that refined plan. So I think you nailed it on the head, Dustin, with using the refine.
Yeah, and the question is, so basically you would have one initiative disposition per event. And that's true. You may have several initiatives in selling new items and percent growth or whatever it is. You may have several initiatives that you're dispositioning, but if they're included in that initiative execution plan, then you would want them all on the same disposition. So you event, disposition on what initiatives you have included in that plan. Kind of your records straight.
Yeah, and if there's ever, we went through the statuses that it was there's pen, I believe it was, or that you can go back into that disposition and then update it. That okay, the follow-up date was 2 months from now, and it's still in that same disposition, but you're completing it. So it's in progress disposition. So that's to remember too, that not all of them will you get exact answers every time, but you would re-enter it once you met with them, but you're still meeting with them, same customer, to discuss the same thing. You're just trying to get a result in the end.
Angela asking for another IEP example for C-Store. Angela, have some examples that have been posted in the library, in the training library. I think that would probably be the best place to get, just since we're limited on the amount that we have. There's a lot of luncheons and our webinars and stuff that have been posted, so you can go in and access how to build a plan in there, and that may be a place to do that. If you need additional help, you can always reach out to your to your SIM admins, and they can, refer you directly, or, if we need to get on another webinar a day, we'd be happy to do that when we have more time. But essentially, you can reach out to help in the system. You can see where Amanda's scrolling with her mouse. It says need help. If you can there, that goes to your system administrators, and you can post help with. You can email sfadmins@com and ask a question there, and that will go to your administrators to reference you. But it's essentially the exact same way. You pick your and then you pick your customer the same way. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't necessarily have to be a grocery. It can be a C-store, and run from the same perspective. Some of this data in this test environment may not line up exactly the way it's supposed to. So keep in mind, if you're going through the test environment, that it is test data, and it's not as clear as it's going to be in your production environment. But definitely go into the library and find initial plans, and there will be one in there for C-store that will probably be, you can do it on your own time. And if you still have any issues, reach out to us, and we'll be able to jump on a WebEx with you. Usually they'll post this tomorrow. Later today or tomorrow, they'll post this lunch in the library, and Meredith will usually send out an email or a notification that it's been posted. So you guys will have access to this lunch and learn again, either later today or sometime tomorrow or Monday.
So they're all going to show up on Saturday,
right.
Just eager to rewatch this.
Any other questions? Mentions chatted directly to you in the chat window?
No, not.
How about this question, and I'm sure it's been covered. Just the active, what does that mean if IEP is active?
Oh, the box.
So in the check box, yes.
So when you submit it, it actually checks that box automatically for you. The reason why they put that there is essentially you can have multiple IEPs that have been submitted, and you only have one that's active. That you to be able to check or uncheck that box so that you can find that information quickly. If you want to build a list view on your active initiative execution plans, you can do that by that box, checking that box. Like when you've completed an initiative execution plan, there's not necessarily show them the statuses real quick, Amanda, on the submitted. Oh, it's locked. So, but they're only in draft and submitted, and so you completed IEP, so you can just uncheck the box that it's no longer active and that the new one that you're working on is active. So that's basically it's just an easy way to sort the information.
Got it. Okay, so you can activate that there.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And Vanessa, when you can IEP and you have an end date that has passed, can you still edit that IEP? Yeah, as long as you're the record owner on the IEP, you still have the capability of the information on that, Vanessa. Okay. Well, so guys, thanks for the interaction. That always makes it a bit better to hear you guys' feedback and the questions that you're coming up with, because it helps us forward to plan for or even look into some of this stuff. When you ask these type of questions, we take note of those and take them to the different team, and if it's a recurring question or there's issues around the questions that you guys are coming up with, we do that because that's ways that we can improve the system and make it better. So keep the questions coming. We appreciate those very much. And if you guys, if you want to look more at initiative execution plans, there are some training posted to the library that you guys can access at any time. And also this Lunch and Learn will be posted again tomorrow or Monday, or tonight or Monday. And if there's any more questions that you guys come up with, contact administrators. That's what they're there for, to help you guys with this. And even though they get those notifications right away, so they can address your questions, and if not, then they can refer them back to us as a training team, and we can get back to you guys and help you get through any of the questions that you guys have. So please reach to us. Don't stay in question if there's things you're not understanding and you need clarification, even though we're short on time today. No, and we'd be happy to enough people and host another WebEx in the middle of the week or whatever it is to get you guys feeling comfortable with anything that's anything to add? Anything?
No, thanks for participation. All the questions were awesome. I hope you guys fit some pretty cool use cases in the future. So.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time again today. We appreciate the Lunch and Learns and you guys interaction and attendance. So keep them coming. And as long as you guys, if you have suggestions for us to cover, please submit those as well. You can send them in to your administrators. I'm always looking for new topics that you guys want to focus on. So let us know anyway. And you guys have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.